Hey guys, ever hear about war crimes? Horrifying consequences of damage done to major dam in Ukraine. While you guys were having fun making fun of me for being a normal, healthy, reasonable person, dam got bombed. Major dam collapses in southern Ukraine, flooding villages as Moscow and Kiev trade blame. I like the opening to this. I like being sarcastic. A major dam in southern Ukraine collapsed Tuesday, flooding villages, endangering crops, and threatening drinking water supplies as both sides in the war scrambled to evacuate residents and blamed each other for the destruction. Ukraine accused Russian forces of blowing up the Kakhovka Dam, an hydroelectric power station which sits on the Dnieper River in an area Moscow has controlled for more than a year. Russian officials blamed Ukrainian bombardment in the contested area where the river separates the two sides. It was not possible to reconcile the conflicting claims. Obviously, Russia did this. I'm not even going to entertain. Like, okay, yeah. So we can just move forward with that assumption done. Only demo charges could have blown it. They take hours to install, hence Russia. Here, let's take a look at the dam super quick. Super quick, okay? So you probably all know this, but dams are really big because they have to hold back a lot of water for a long time, basically for forever. That's their job. Now, dams have a lot of purposes, but generally speaking, what you do is you build them to build a reservoir. That is to say, you raise the water level upstream, so you can have a reservoir of fresh water for drinking water. Also, when water moves through the dam, it usually moves through turbines, which power hydroelectric plants. The state of Washington, that's where I live right now, is actually like 78% powered by hydroelectric energy. It's green energy. It's pretty cool, actually, because the sun provides the energy to keep the water cycle going. So dams are really expensive. They're very large and they're very expensive. And let me see if I can get an older photo, because if you Google the Kakhovka Dam right now, all you see are photos of it after it's been destroyed. Wow, like I literally can't. If I Google intact next to it, will that? No, that won't do it either. Yep. Right. Okay. Well, let's can we even get a high res photo? Would that be okay? There we go. When was this from? When was this taken? Oh, here we go. This is a pre-destruction photo. Wow. Now, it's hard to tell from the distance of the photo, but this is approximately 50 quadrillion miles long. Seriously, it's really difficult. It's really difficult to overstate how large dams are. Here's the Hoover Dam. You probably walked on top of it in a Obsidian game. Look, they're really big, okay? So it got bombed. Now, as I understand it, destroying a dam is really difficult because the destruction of the dam it goes down really deep. And like we're talking about multiple feet of reinforced concrete. And by multiple, I mean dozen. Like they're insanely heavily armored. In my opinion, as somebody with no expertise in the subject whatsoever, you can't accidentally blow up a dam. An accidental artillery shell cannot do it. An artillery shell would not destroy a dam. Not even close. I don't even think a bombing run under most circumstances could, unless we're talking some very large bombs that get insanely lucky. This was a deliberate sabotage from saboteurs. And again, in my personal opinion. And if anyone was to do this, it would be the Russians. In all likelihood, because doing this both hurts Ukraine, and they love hurting Ukraine, and also because they might think it'll delay the counteroffensive. Somebody just linked a thread suggesting it might have actually been a dam failure, like an accident of some kind. I just don't believe this. However, I leave open the possibility that circumstances will change and more info will come out. This is not something we can know for sure right now. Okay? You're all linking a lot of stuff, and I haven't even gotten started with the coverage here. Here are the mines. This is a picture of some mines. That is true. This one looks like it's holding a knife. Here. MSNBC, my favorite communist news organization. Take it away.
A major dam in southern Ukraine was blown up today, triggering massive flooding, potential power losses, while endangering Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Kyiv is accusing Moscow of blowing up this strategic dam, which is currently under Russian control in the Kherson region, while Russian officials are blaming Ukraine and military strikes for the dam's destruction. Experts find that unlikely. This video showing big chunks of the destroying Kakhovka Dam. The reservoir is roughly the same size as Utah's Great Salt Lake. Residents are being evacuated, thousands of residents, with 500,000 people potentially impacted. NBC's Molly Hunter has been covering this.
Generally speaking, dams being destroyed are some of the most destructive kinds of infrastructural failures, because you basically have an amount of water equal to like a lake that suddenly desperately wants to move downhill at high speeds. This is infrastructurally devastating. It can kill an enormous number of people, and because the water moving quickly brings up a bunch of dirt and debris, it's polluted water, which means that you've destroyed like a regional source of power and water, and a bunch of dirty water floods downstream to pollute more water and more reservoirs, destroy infrastructure, ruin farmland. I mean, dams being destroyed are like way up there on the, infrastructural damage list. And by way up there, I think I mean the top, like at the top.
All night. Molly, what can you tell us about just what President Zelensky is?
There was a Chinese dam failure that killed over 100,000 people. Well, that certainly is fitting with the typical Chinese historical event formula, In 1975, the Banqiao Dam failed. 100,000 This more famous one killed 500,000 people. Cool. Yep. 400 to 500,000 civilians. Cool.
Saying, and what the evacuation possibilities are, because people are in the firing line. There were Russian forces right on the other side of that river.
Yeah, Andrea, that's exactly right. It's a horrifying, chaotic scene, and certainly even harder to figure out when we are not actually physically in Kherson. So as you mentioned, right, Russian forces are on the east bank, and that river, that dam, and that reservoir were basically the front line. So Ukrainian officials right now, what's happening on that west bank where people are living, they say tens of thousands of Ukrainian civilians are in kind of the danger flood zone, and those flood waters are rising. Now, we do have from Ukrainian officials, some new numbers. They expect the peak water levels, Andrea, to be reached tomorrow morning. The level will then stabilize after 4 or 5 days, and then the water will recede. So that may allow for some more evacuations. We understand right now, though, given that tens of thousands of people are in that danger zone, they've only managed to evacuate 1,300 people, Andrea, because of Russian shelling. Now, one analyst I spoke with earlier today, as you mentioned, 500,000 people, so 500,000 people he expects will be affected by power losses, and flooding. But he expects by tonight, by sundown tonight, 300,000 people, Andrea, will be without safe drinking water in that area.
Mm-hmm. And talk about Zaporizhia and the power plant. It has been at risk in various times during shelling. We know that they need coolant, the cooling water for the nuclear rods, the spent fuel.
That's exactly right. And actually, Andrea, just in the last hour, I wrapped an interview with Petro Cotton. He's the head of the state nuclear energy company here. And I asked him just that. Look, to run a nuclear power plant, right, you need water and you need power. And both of those were coming from the reservoir attached to this dam. He says right now he is not in kind of a full-scale 24-hour panic because all 6 of those reactors are currently off. And as we know, Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, Europe's biggest nuclear power plant, is controlled by Russians. So he says there is a real uncertainty.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the nuclear plant there. Leaving aside all of the safety mechanisms in a nuclear plant, if it's off, like they're just turning it on with no water running through. It's not. I wouldn't be worried about that.
what they may do. At the moment, all 6 reactors are off, and that means that the water levels in the cooling pools are stable. They're adequate. And he says as long as there's not additional power being required, as long as there's not additional water being required and those 6 reactors stay off, he's not terribly nervous about that plant right this second, kind of in the immediate future. What he did say, Andrea, though, is what he says and what we've heard from other Ukrainian officials like President Zelensky is that today showed for the Ukrainians that Russia would target this major infrastructure. And he says nothing really feels off the table after they have done this, given the effect and the long-term effects that today's attack will have. As you mentioned, President Zelensky has reacted, of course, multiple times. He called an emergency meeting this morning.
You're going to hear a lot of caterwauling from Russia simps saying that Ukraine actually did this and this is a false flag. This is psychotic. I mean, that is about as believable as a peaceful protester getting shot in the leg by a cop and the cop saying that he like shot himself with a gun you can't find. It's absolute nonsense. There's no reason at all why Ukraine would do this to themselves apart from the typical because they want people to think Russia did it. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't.
Calls it a terrorist act, and he calls it, Andrea, a war crime.
Molly Hunter, thank you so much in Kyiv today.
Yes, for me at least, the most likely explanation, the thing that makes the most sense to me, is the idea that this was done by Russia as a way of diverting Ukrainian attention prior to their planned counteroffensive, and also a way of sort of demoralizing, of saying, oh, look how much damage we can do if we want to, that kind of thing. This is a drone flyby of the damage done. It looks really insignificant here. It just looks like a fast-moving river. It's almost impossible to describe the amount of damage that is being shown here. The total volume of water that is being moved as a product of the dam's destruction is, difficult to comprehend, I think. You need a before and after? Yeah, well, and the only place I'm going to get a non-current picture is from Wikipedia. I know it doesn't look like much, but you have to remember the scale of dams, right? Look at these railings right here. Railings are, look, you can see those are the standard metal crane or like car breaker things. And then this, probably about 4 or 5 feet tall. This right here is about like 30 or 40 feet probably high. And the water's now level. See? Like, if you can imagine how much lower the water should be on the other side. Waters were at an all-time high, too. Well, the Russians had been letting it fill up because they weren't keeping enough gates open. Probably because they were planning to do maximum damage with this. Another argument, by the way, very coincidental, that this dam blows right after Russia allowed, like, the largest possible amount of water to fill into it. Here's before and after. Pictures really just don't do it justice, huh? Well, there's your problem on a dam failure causing a sonic boom at 103. I like, well, there's your problem.
There we are. Okay.
Copyright credit. Well, there's your problem. Go check them out. Subscribe to them.
You dump something in instead of something shaking.
Yes. So this slide turned out to be 200 million cubic meters of rock and soil, right? It went down so quickly that it displaced enough air. Not even talking about the water. The air it displaced blew out windows and ripped the roof off buildings in the village of Casso and also in the village of Longarone, whatever, you know.
You can see Casso on the map there.
Yeah.
So you get a sonic boom off of a landslide. That's cool.
Yes.
That's the one cool thing that's going to happen, yeah.
So the wave, once the earth and soil fell in the reservoir, the wave reared up the other side of the valley. Now, this village, Casso, is 250 meters above the level of the reservoir.
Yeah, we saw. Those are steep embankments,
Very,
right?
very steep embankments. And it took out about half the village. So then the water came back down, and this is all at like 10:40 at night.
Oh, sure.
And then a lot of it went towards the dam, right? and it overtopped the dam. And
Seems fine.
Again, they expected they needed about 20 meters to contain the wave. It went over 250 meters.
I'm
Over
trying
the
to
dam.
think of. I'm trying to think of.
That's like the Empire State Building, a solid vertical wall of what? Just a little, just a reminder of the incredible destructive force of yeah. Here, there we go. This is satellite view of the area downstream before and after. And you can, I mean, you can pretty clearly see that the water level has risen enough to basically Florida this land portion in the middle. Worth remembering, while energy infrastructure is a valid target, dams. Oh yeah, no. Attacking dams is not like regular energy infrastructure shit, because you cause a flood that just tears apart everything downstream. It's just this. It's like a massive, undifferentiated wave of destruction that goes beyond. I mean, this, we just looked, right? Like there are dams bursting that have killed more people than like Hiroshima. It's just so destructive. Is that not a war crime? I would say that blowing a dam where the floodwaters will like destroy civilian areas, yeah, 100%, yeah. If it's some like pure hydroelectric thing like out in the middle of nowhere, then you could argue like, okay, well, it's energy infrastructure. But in this case, the consequence of it being blown is undifferentiated like damage done to a civilian population. I'll take a look at. I haven't heard of any wildfires in the area. The US loves to blow dams, by the way. We do it all the time. It's fucked. Yeah, we're actually really bad. We are the bad guys. If you didn't know, we are pretty bad. Russia is actively bombing flood victims. What? While the local residents of Kherson are trying to find those who still need help with evacuation, Russian shelling of the city is taking place. Oh yeah, Russia is continuing to shell the flooded. Yeah, here I'm not going to show the video because you know, but they're continuing to shell this, which, like, I don't know what the point is at this point. Like, the shell, it's gonna explode in the water and just do a little poof. You're shelling like a lake, practically. Looks like Katrina, holy shit. Yeah, just to understand how much damage is done here. Shows the video anyway. Well, I'm not playing through it, 'cause I'm just, like, showing the, yeah. Oh, man. It is just hideous. This is a sad story. Yeah, well, I think that characterizing it as a war crime is certainly fair. Picture of the dam under construction in 51 to 56. Wow, yeah, that is it. You can recognize it. That's kind of crazy. Bit of history right there. This would have been built, you know, under Soviet governance. Scratch that. This would have been built under Stalin's government. He died in 53. This was 51. Well, it started in 51. So Stalin probably would have overseen and approved the construction of this. Any update on the counteroffensive? Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm not sure. Maybe this will serve to delay it? I guess we'll see. There is a car in the photo. Well, there were actually cars in the 1950s. Even in the Soviet Union. At least if you were a Soviet official. I'm sure they got their cars. I don't know how much I can... I don't know how many average workers had cars in the 50s at that time. Probably not too many. Ukraine dropped this video on the 4th and has shut up since. Ukraine's Ministry of Defense published a video on June 4th saying that plans love silence and there will be no announcement of the beginning. Oh, okay. So 2 days ago, Ukraine posted, "Hey, shut the fuck up, stay quiet." Which, all right. From now on, Ukraine does not exist to us. Ukrainian counteroffensive? What Ukrainian counteroffensive? I have no idea what you're talking about. Good luck out there. Nice, showing the play. Yeah, showing the jets. Very nice, very nice. Very good. Crackpot
Good
time?
morning, everybody.
Man, we've been covering these guys too much. I will admit that they're good to cover. The fact that it's both of them means there's more of a banter dynamic. But like, no, we know exactly what this is going to be. We know they're going to blame Ukraine. Here, prove me wrong. 2 seconds. I'll listen. I'm just listening. We're not doing the full thing.
Dam and the hydroelectric power station. Russian officials are saying that Ukrainian military strikes in the contested area are the ones that are responsible. Of course, nobody can verify what exactly is going on here, but of really immediate concern is all of the people in this area. It's obviously a disaster whenever you're triggering a major flood.
That there wasn't even more flowing to him and more rapidly, which,
Yes.
I guess understandable. But he says, I would not want such a country with regards to China to stand by and watch people die. So also,
We are being lied to left, right, and center. And it's basically like you have to try and average the three and see maybe that one is directionally, especially in the middle of this conflict. So do not believe a word that the Russians say, and do not believe a word that the Ukrainians say about.
There we go. As far as I'm concerned, that's the pro-Russian position. Strategic disinfo is the Russian line, after all. Nice. Both sides. Very smart. High IQ. All right, moving on. We got so much to talk about.